We are often told that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. But that is a comfortable lie we tell ourselves to sleep at night, because the truth is far more terrifying. The greatest deception was not invisibility, but beauty. In the primordial silence of the world's dawn, before the concept of sin had ever stained the fabric of reality, there was a moment of perfect, blinding light. On the second day of creation, the architecture of the cosmos was populated by beings of such unfathomable power and radiance that to look upon them was to witness the raw energy of the stars themselves. Among the seraphim and the cherubim, standing taller and shining brighter than the renowned warriors Michael and Gabriel, was Lucifer. He was the morning star, the masterpiece of the Creator, an entity woven from pure splendor. But it was this very perfection that became the seed of the universe's first tragedy, a catastrophe that would eventually birth the darkest nightmares of Judeo-Christian culture. It is a story not just of rebellion, but of a cosmic civil war that shattered the heavens, and it begins with a single, poisonous emotion that rotted the most beautiful creature in existence from the inside out. The vice was pride, the original sin that predates humanity itself. Lucifer, gazing upon his own magnificence, allowed a cancer of arrogance to take root in his heart, a vanity so consuming that he could no longer abide servitude, even to the Almighty. He did not merely want to serve in the kingdom of heaven. He wanted to rule it, to elevate his throne above the stars of God and claim equality with the Creator. This was not a silent grudge, but a charismatic insurrection. The father of falsehood moved among the angelic hosts with a silver tongue, sowing discord and promising glory, until a full third of the heavenly population, billions of celestial entities, turned their backs on grace to follow him. The resulting war was not fought with conventional weapons, but with the metaphysical forces of creation and destruction. The silence of the cosmos was ripped apart as the archangel Michael, commanding the loyalist militia, clashed with the insurrectionists. In this apocalyptic duel, Lucifer shed his angelic guise and twisted into the form of a great dragon, a monstrosity of rage and power. Yet even his fury could not withstand the sword of divine justice. The rebellion was crushed, and the punishment was absolute. They were not just defeated, they were cast out. Picture the sky tearing open as a cascade of burning stars plummeted from the firmament, falling for what felt like an eternity, stripped of their light and beauty, until they crashed into the desolate abyss of hell. The morning star was extinguished, and from the ashes of that fall, the heinous figure of Satan rose, burning with a singular, eternal desire for vengeance against the creation he could no longer possess. But the war did not end in the pit of hell. It merely changed battlefields. Defeated by God, the adversary turned his gaze toward the Creator's new favorite pet, humanity. In the verdant perfection of the Garden of Eden, where death and pain were unknown concepts, the serpent slithered in to exploit the innocence of Eve. We all know the story of the fruit and the fall of man, but there is a shadow over the history of Eden, a darker myth that whispers of a figure erased from the canonical texts, a phantom queen of the night who refused to bow long before Eve ever took a breath. Ancient Jewish folklore and dusty midrashic texts speak of Lilith. Unlike Eve, who was fashioned from Adam's rib, a part of him, and thus subject to him, Lilith was crafted from the same damp earth and clay as Adam himself. She was the first woman, wild and independent, and because she was created equal, she refused to lie beneath Adam or submit to his dominance. The conflict in the garden was immediate and visceral. Faced with the choice of submission or exile, Lilith chose freedom, uttering the ineffable name of God to grow wings and flee the paradise that had become her prison. She settled near the Red Sea, a place teeming with lascivious spirits, and there she birthed a legion of demons. God sent 3 angels to bring her back, but she spat in the face of redemption. For her defiance, she was demonized, transformed in the cultural consciousness from a symbol of independence into a night hag, a baby-killing succubus who strangled newborns in their cribs out of jealousy for the domestic bliss she left behind. While Eve represents the sin of disobedience through temptation, Lilith represents the terrifying power of a will that would rather reign in the darkness than serve in the light. While Lilith haunts the shadows of the past, a far more structured threat looms on the horizon of the future. A final boss, explicitly prophesied to shatter the world in the end times. The Bible speaks of a sinister mirror image of the Savior, a being known as the Antichrist. This is not merely a monster, but a political and spiritual genius, the son of Satan, destined to be born of a woman, just as Christ was, a blasphemous mockery of the Incarnation. He will not arrive with horns and fire, but with a smile and a promise of peace. He will be the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, a charismatic leader who arises during a time of global chaos to offer solutions that no other human can provide. He will be an intellectual titan, an orator of unprecedented skill, who seduces the nations, denying the existence of heaven and hell, and convincing the masses that the only paradise worth fighting for is here on earth. By stripping away the fear of judgment, he will unlock the darkest impulses of humanity, proclaiming a new law of absolute freedom where "do what thou wilt" becomes the whole of the law. This son of perdition will perform miracles, not by the power of God, but through dark sorcery, healing the sick and calling down fire to deceive even the elect. He will demand worship, placing the mark of the beast, 666, upon the populace, turning the entire global economy into a weapon of control. History has seen shadows of him in tyrants like Nero, Napoleon, and Hitler, but they were merely precursors. The true Antichrist will unite the world under a single religion that worships him alone, culminating in a reign of terror that only the return of the true Messiah can end. Yet not all demons wear human faces or walk the halls of power. Some are primal forces of nature that dwarf human comprehension. In the crushing depths of the oceans, where the light of the sun has never touched, sleeps the Leviathan. Described in the book of Job with trembling awe, this is not just a whale or a sea serpent, but a chaotic entity of such colossal scale that it defies physics. God himself describes the Leviathan as the king over all the children of pride. Its back is rows of shields, sealed so tightly that not even air can pass between them. When it sneezes, light flashes. Its eyes are like the eyelids of the morning, and from its mouth go burning lamps and sparks of fire. It makes the deep sea boil like a pot of ointment. The Leviathan is the embodiment of the untamable, raw power of the cosmos, a creature so terrifying that no human weapon, sword, spear, or arrow, can pierce its hide. It is a reminder that there are things in this universe that humanity was never meant to conquer. The philosopher Thomas Hobbes famously used the Leviathan as a metaphor for the all-powerful state, a necessary monster to keep the chaos of human nature in check. But in the theological realm, Leviathan remains the envious guardian of the abyss, waiting for the day it will be summoned to do battle, or be served as a feast for the righteous at the end of time. To understand the full scope of this infernal hierarchy, one must look beyond the singular figure of Satan and gaze into the court of the damned, where the 7 princes of hell reign, each corresponding to one of the 7 deadly sins that plague the human soul. This is not a chaotic mob, but a dark aristocracy. First, there is Lucifer, the prince of pride, the fallen beauty who leads them all. Then there is Mammon, the twisted demon of greed, who hunches over the gold of the earth. Jesus warned that one cannot serve both God and Mammon, for he represents the cold, metallic obsession with material wealth that rots the spirit. There is Asmodeus, the prince of lust, a demon of fire and perversion who once ruled as the king of Sodom, twisting the desires of men into depravity until the city was incinerated by God's wrath. We see the gluttonous Lord of the Flies, Beelzebub, a high-ranking lieutenant of hell who brings pestilence and famine, his insatiable hunger devouring everything in his path, a grotesque mockery of the Canaanite fertility gods he displaced. The hierarchy continues with the darker, more subtle sins. There is Leviathan, who in this classification represents the sin of envy, the green-eyed monster that covets what it cannot have. There is the tragic figure of Belphegor, the demon of Sloth. Legend says he was once a neutral angel named Belphegor, who refused to pick a side during Lucifer's rebellion, and for his inaction, for his refusal to stand for something, he was cast into the pit, doomed to inspire laziness and apathy in the hearts of men. And finally, there is Azazel, the Prince of Wrath, once a watcher who descended to earth to mate with human women and birth the monstrosities known as the Nephilim. He taught humanity the art of war, how to forge swords and shields, forever tainting the world with the knowledge of bloodshed. These 7 princes are not merely characters in a story. They are the architects of human misery, working in concert from the shadows. They wait in the gloom, orchestrating the corruption of the world, counting down the seconds until the seals are broken and the final war begins. The story of angels and demons is not over. The board is merely set, and the pieces are moving, waiting for the moment when the sky will tear open once more.